I do long form is my newsletter, AI versus Marshy. I've shipped 80,000 words and counting on AI so far, and over the space of about 2 years, and keen to do more. This is just a neat, detailed, single prompt that delivers the result in one go. I've just grabbed some of the best information I have on copywriting, on landing page design, on something called conversion rate optimization. This is a good wealth of info from the dossier in the archives. And then I've literally just asked it to, based off that, give me. Hey, so it's the day after and very excited to share the upload of this webinar with all of you. It was a great session and covered one-shots and how they sort of entered the mainstream in AI and prompting. Landing pages, a quick crash course on why they're important, what they're useful for. Then we go through 4 different ways to one-shot landing pages. A good one, a better one, a great one, and then a way to do it with automation. And it's pretty hands-on, and unlike last week, things ran fairly smoothly. Appreciate the crowd. We had a much bigger crowd this time, and it also helped being able to do the webinar from my desk instead of in between a conference. At the end, we went to Q&A, which was great, and only recorded, not recorded, because it's only available to live attendees. And a bit more information about what I'm trying to build with school and how to get involved in my newsletter. Hope you enjoy. So I think I might get started because there is a huge amount of content to run through, and just a couple of call outs before I jump into it. I go very fast, and that's by design. To give you as much value as I can. There's Q&A at the end. So until then, I'd ask if you can just mute your mics just so it doesn't affect anything for anyone else. The session's recorded, apart from the Q&A, which is something as a value add that I will turn off the mics, the recording, and I'm more happy to answer any questions for people who've gone to the trouble of attending live. And if you have, I thank you very much. And I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. Just a quick hands up or comment in the chat if you can see the slides. A few people have their videos on. Yeah, raised hand. Cool. Thanks, Ryan. Really appreciate it. So yeah, this webinar is a series of webinars on AI impact and growth and how to one-shot landing pages and why this is useful. And this is part of a series, Marshy's webinar Wednesday. And I'll go into a bit more detail about why I do that as well. Just pop in the chat if you like, what your understanding of a one-shot is, historically, because, I come from sort of nerdy gaming world. And in nerdy gaming world, a one-shot is where you take the sniper rifle in a game and bang, shoot it from a distance, and it's a headshot. It's very violent, and you actually get the kill. That was the original concept for a one-shot. But from researching this topic and the prompt, if you look on the left here, IBM, very authoritative corporate sounding organization, one-shot prompting. Yeah, they've got a whole blog on it and what that is. There's the one from gaming. That one's a later game called Call of Duty. But actually, in digging into this, one-shotting is actually really popular in fan fiction world because you can get an immediate hit of what you want and embedding yourself into, I don't know, Harry Potter themed fan fiction. And you can do it in one shot, and it's really popular in that community, which is something I didn't expect. But so what we're covering today, I'll give you a brief bit about what I'm up to, and then really get into meat and nuts and bolts of it. I'll talk through what a one-shot is and when to use it in terms of AI and prompting, what a landing page is and when to use it. Apologies to the marketers in the room. I won't be telling you anything you won't know, but I'll explain why that's useful. And then we're going to just go through 4 different kinds of one-shots. And I went a bit crazy in prepping this, so I'm pretty excited to show you a basic one-shot, which is probably, that may be useful for you. And that's a place to start. A better one-shot, and then the best one-shot. And I'll talk through conceptually at the end, sort of how you can one-shot with automation and Webflow. And I've got a demo and example of that. Then at the end, I just share what I'm looking for. I've got a community I'm building and some feedback. And then, like as promised, I'll turn off the recording, and anyone who sticks around, more than happy to answer any AI questions that have come through. And I saw a good amount of questions come through with the booking as well. So really appreciative of that. That helps me formulate what future content can look like as well. So yeah, so what am I up to? Yeah, I'm Luke Marshall, or Marshy. Traditionally, I love creating long form content, but historically this doesn't scale. Like for example, to prep this webinar took about 3 or 4 hours. And for me to do that repeatedly doesn't make sense. But actually what's happening in AI world right now is that the power of the tools is getting ridiculous. So I can create something that might take 4 hours to create. And then what literally happens with the tools and what you can do today, I can repurpose that into 10, 15, 30 different pieces of content in my voice. I can transcribe it. I can remix it. There's a lot of things I can do with it now. And so as an experiment, I'm running at least half a dozen of these webinars to see this long form content creation approach can work and whether I can build an audience with this. So thanks for being some of my guinea pigs. And I hope you get value out of this as well. But another way I do long form is my newsletter, AI versus Marshy. I've shipped 80,000 words and counting on AI so far. And over the space of about 2 years and keen to do more. And I think compared to when I started, the capability now to sort of go nuts and ham if you're a techie marketer like me is second to none and only going to get better. So what's a one shot and when to use it? This is a very illustrative visual example of how this works and what it is. On the left-hand side, or is it, yeah, your left-hand side, this is just a neat, detailed, single prompt that delivers the result in one go. So, that prompt is very detailed. You give examples to illustrate what it is. I'll share examples of these prompts with you as well in the follow-up notes, but you can see it's very different to a conversation that you might have with, say, ChatGPT or Gemini. And since ChatGPT came around, conversation or multi-prompting tends to be the default approach when we're using these large language models. So often it's a back and forth conversation process. So you can say, okay, create a landing page. This is an example just spun up for lukemarshall.net. And then I can make tweaks with feedback as I go. The reason why one-shotting is really useful is because you're front-loading the work. And with LLMs, as you continue to build, my cat loves interrupting videos. You didn't see him, but he's off frame. With a single prompt, the context window is saved. Like it'll be a longer prompt, but you don't have to prompt again. And that's really important in large language model world because if you're back and forthing in a conversation, the context window keeps increasing. And that's expensive. When you start to scale this and look to do automation, it's not really noticed by the individual user, but if you are using an LLM repeatedly, one-shotting is actually going to help, and I'll talk to how that's useful a bit later. Cool. So, and for those who don't know, what is a landing page and when to use it? It's a single page that you use in your marketing. It's got a singular call to action. The reason you do this is because you want to corral or squeeze people through a particular promise and then action. And this, another word for this is squeeze page. Netflix and Spotify are two of the best landing page designers in the world for consumer. They regularly update their pages. And so if you're ever looking to learn, just go into an incognito window and check Spotify or Netflix and see what their sign up page is. It's changing all the time. And the precision and the words, everything's optimized to exhaustion to onboard the millions of people they target. And this is a more business to business approach. So Twilio, make every interaction personal, make every touch point count. That might mean something to someone who's a business owner in comms. It might mean nothing to your sort of normal person. And anyone who arrived at this webinar, welcome. Thanks for joining us. The booking page, lukemarshall.net/webinar Wednesday, was an example of a landing page. As you'll see, I could do a much better job of designing that page as time goes on. And so I now want to get into the meats and bones. This is a bit where it's sort of quite breaky and fun and live. And I'm just going to walk you through different kinds of one-shots. So a basic, a better, a great, and then how you do it with automation. And so the first one, and sort of hack, if you will, is a way to do a basic one-shot. And so the concept or principle here is just to grab a relevant website with a landing page you like. And so how do you find a landing page? Because they're usually hidden. Well, one way is you can actually use Meta Ad Library, Google Ad Library, or LinkedIn ads, click on it, and then you've got the page. That's information that's useful. And if it's a bigger company, it's going to be a landing page that's really well optimized to what you do. And then what you can do then is screen capture it with scrolling. So there's ways to do that. You can Google it or provide the URL to an LLM. So when I say a large language model, I mean it could be Perplexity, it could be Gemini, it could be ChatGPT, and then ask it to design a one-shot prompt for your website on topic. So I'll just go through the mechanics and sort of how this works, and we'll go sort of live mode now. I'm going to share my screen and stop presenting. And we're going to go over here to this version. Cool. Hopefully it comes up in a sec. Yep, just give me a thumbs up that you can see that, or nod. Yeah, cool. So this is an example of a Meta Ad Library, and this is a very large unicorn in Australia that would be advertising all the time, called Airwallex. What I've done is just gone and looked at pages that they have. I can actually just click on this, and now I've got an example of a landing page that it's neither here nor there. It's good enough. It looks okay. Yeah, cool, great. And scroll down. So what I can do then, I'm just going to jump into my friend Claude, is review that web page. So I just said create a maximally detailed expert review of this page. And actually, I prompted a bit before then as well and said how to do an expert review. And so then it's gone and grabbed all the good juju and concepts of the landing page. And then I've gone, okay, that's fantastic. That's good information to have. It's learned from a landing page. And so the next thing I can do is grab that information, take the expertise from that report, and turn this into a one-shot LLM prompt for creating similar impactful landing pages on topic or when the website is shared. And so now this is essentially a good start for a one-shot landing page prompt. And so it's just given me the prompt. I can now use that and deploy it however I wish. And so I did. I just chucked it into Gemini Professional and said, give me a short form landing page and glider. There was someone who RSVP'd, so I picked on them for the demos. And it's given me a landing page based on this. And I think I've got their, I just grabbed their, here we go. Here's their original landing page copy. And I got them to review it as well. So this is actually a pretty good landing page, to be fair. And it's for a billing toolkit. But if I wanted to critique this and was running ads to this page, it's leaky. It's got menu and all these buttons that someone can click on. The only call to actions is talk to us, which the most important call to action on this page is actually downloading the kit, which is over here. And so, as just someone looking at this with my marketing expertise, we know we can get the landing page to do better. And so Gemini, based off what we trained it on, said, get your free assessment tool here. Now, this is okay, but it's not in the brand look and feel of Glider. And so it's a good start for a one shot. It's neither here nor there, but I reckon we can do better. So let's that was the result, live demo mode. Let's make it better. What do you reckon? Hands up or nod if you want me to make the landing page better. Yeah, okay. Well, it's a setup. But yeah, thanks, Brian. You're really good on the hand emojis. I love it. So instead of just grabbing a website you like, why not just combine the learnings of everything you know about landing page design into a Claude project, into a Gem, which is the Gemini one, or Notebook LLM. Like there's various ways to compile information into this as you go. So jumping into, we're going to go live demo mode again. If I go here and go to my projects, and this is super persuasive copywriting and landing page designer in Claude Projects, Zach was the one who originally got me onto this. So you're welcome, Zach, for providing me with this information. But I've just grabbed some of the best information I have on copywriting, on landing page design, on something called conversion rate optimization. This is a good wealth of info from the dossier in the archives. And then I've literally just asked it to, based off that, give me the best prompt it can for creating a landing page generator. And so if we go to Typora, this is jumping ahead a bit, but this is the super prompt it gave me. So this doesn't just do copywriting, it does design, and it's a huge amount of detail here. And the way I generated this prompt is by going to my project, training it on the best information I could find, and then asking my best LLM, which in this case is Claude Opus 4.1, to write that prompt. And so it's synthesizing all the information it can, and now it's given me this literal super prompt for creating landing pages. And the results from this, it's pretty good. So we'll go here, and we've got the prompt. But the challenge with this will be maintaining it in the look and feel of the original website I showed you. So in this example, this is the design done. So with a normal LLM, we can't actually one-shot it to look like this. That's not possible yet. But from a testing point of view, let's try our best. So in one-shot world, instead of relying on just the large language models to create the prompt or even do the coding, what you can actually do is then go to a builder tool. And the best one-shot building tool on market right now is called Lovable. And so what I can do is literally grab the super prompt that we've just created, which is this bad boy. And it's not even optimized. I could redo this prompt to optimize for Lovable, actually, and then chuck it in Lovable. And so, if I just go and minimize this bad boy, that's what I did. So I said, you're now the super duper conversion genie builder dude. Here's my prompt. I gave it information at the top, like pretty thin information to be fair. This is the original site. Grab the other information from the website. This is my conversion goal. This is going to be an evergreen asset. And then Lovable in one go has created a landing page that's starting to look a lot better than the original in terms of one shot and how it could be improved. That's pretty powerful. With something like Lovable as well, I can push this to GitHub and download the code and use it. You can play with this and make it even better. And so, with the original intention of, if I just go back to I think I minimized what I wanted to share. Sorry, guys. It's a fun game. That's not on. That's not the one. That's the one we want. So look, I'm picky. It's more example. I'm not picky on them. Like I know how hard it is to do a lean marketing thing, but if I just go to this, and that's going to refresh. Compare the two landing pages. Even if you're not an expert at landing page design, there's this one, and then there's this one, and I can minimize that. So that's like, which one's better? Like, that's just from a one-shot prompt. And so you get the sort of implications of this pretty damn quickly, but there's still more. Like if we go back to our friend Vince, and so that's an example of a great one shot versus a basic, and the final result I think is pretty good from Lovable. But where this gets really powerful from the one-shot perspective is setting it up with automation. And so with automation, you can take, say, a really good one-shot prompt, which I've just shown you one. You could create your own. I've shown you how to create one as well. Then you combine it with automation. So what this means is putting it into a database. You've got your prompt in the database, and then you've got a workflow builder that interacts with that database. And I'll talk through what that means in a sec. And then with the prompt and the custom data, you can just recursively iterate as many landing pages as you want. That could be personalized. They could be covering different topics if you've got different SEO information. And they'd all look great. And they'd all push to a tool like Webflow. Card is great for this. You can really spin up a page and just upload the code, and it's good to go. And this is an example of what that would look like. Obviously, I've covered a lot, and I don't want to blow your brains open too much, but this is possible in something I have done. So example with a client I worked with, we scraped Seek job ad data, and then with that data, we were able to get the company name and the hiring manager's details. So we've got their email, their name and details, and what role they're hiring for. And then, it's a bit hard to see here, we run it through automation that responds is a prompt and this information here, and it generates a landing page in Webflow. And so with this example, we generated 1,000 landing pages, all addressing the people that we wanted to talk to with a specific call to action. It was quite funny breaking it, because deleting the pages, if you just do it with the interface, you have to do it one by one. And Webflow has a cap on the amount of pages you can have. I had to delete pages with API, which is starting to stretch my limits. But that's a good example of how you could do this recursively and at scale, and makes one-shotting, by the way, far more useful than just goofing around the page. So yeah, look, that's the presentation today. Like I said, I go fast to share the recordings. I'm working with scaling software companies who know they're not doing enough with AI. And so if you've got a referral for me, send it my way. But I'm actually really after feedback on these things. My LinkedIn direct messages are open and super welcomed. Just give me some feedback on LinkedIn about the presentation, what was missing, what you liked, and bonus points if you say I can use it in my marketing. And I'm opening up a school for dropping content like this in more detail. It'll be free to begin with and then paid. There's a work in progress there. I've barely got to it yet, but this is part of the experiment. And yeah, that's the formal part of the presentation. So I'm now, as promised, going to turn off the recording and open it up to questions once I see where that button is. Thanks for your attention today. How do I stop recording?